still staying tuned to us on Tea or Coffee. Now, we want to say a major thank you to Highback TV newspaper review for giving us what's happening on the dailies. But it's time for us to get back into the conversation that we started this morning on understanding E-Naira. We want to demystify it, but we will not be doing that alone because we already have our special guest in the studio. His name is Ayo Emahiome. He is an economic analyst, and we're going to be breaking this down because I have a lot of questions, and a lot of people have anxieties on this particular digital currency. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming to the studio this morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you.
I am loving your hat. I am digging it. And I've been waiting to say that.
Thank you.
I love the vibe.
Thank you.
We have, so Mr. Ben in this office usually wears something like this.
Okay.
So we call it the Mr. Ben hats. But anyway, let's get into...
Today is Ayo's hat.
Yes.
All right, sir. So this morning, we are trying to understand E-Naira.
Okay.
You know, a lot of questions have been raised about what E-Naira is. A lot of questions have been raised about, you know, what it is, what's role it's going to play in trading in the country, local markets and international markets. A lot of questions have been raised about its similarity to cryptocurrency. So we're having this conversation this morning on tea or coffee to demystify the aura around E-Naira, to help our viewers at home understand what this digital currency is. It's a wonderful thing that Nigeria is the first African country to actually start this. But how does that, you know, wonderful news affect us, you know, as Nigerians? So from a basic definition and a basic background, what is the E-Naira?
Okay. From the very basic level, E-Naira is Naira. But now, instead of Naira, as we call it fiat money, physical, it is now digitized. So it is our money. It's just that now we don't have it in physical form. That is what E-Naira is. So normally you have money in the bank as we speak, which is you have probably in your mobile purse, your mobile wallet via your bank's mobile banking app. E-Naira now is not that money you have in the bank. It is a new set of money. Probably you get by transfer or by deposit, but it is a separate currency as produced by CBN, which they now give to the banks, which the bank now issues to you. So because it's not physical cash, you cannot draw it from ATM, which is what everybody is interested in.
Okay.
You cannot draw it from ATM because it's not physical cash. So if, for example, you have E-Naira in your bank account and you have your physical cash, both of them equals 1 million Naira. You can only draw the portion that is your physical cash, which is, in this case, let's assume you have 500,000 or 100,000 as physical cash, but you have 1 million Naira in your account. Automatically, it is only that 100,000 that is the money you can pull out and carry out physical transactions. The rest is your money and is actual Nigerian Naira, but only for digital transactions and is only in your account. In this case, in your e-wallet, your speed wallet.
All right. So now let's break it down. If I want to have E-Naira, how
Yes.
do I go about it? What am I supposed to do? How do I do it? Do I need to go to the bank, speak to them? What is the process?
It's very simple. Being that it's digital, you follow the digital process. For now, the current process on ground, because it will still go lower, is that you go to Google Play or iOS, download the wallet app, which is Speed Wallet. Having downloaded it, you register. Now, for registration, there are 4 categories, depending on which one you are.
Okay.
But talking basically with the one CBN is doing presently, that is you have a bank account. So because you have a bank account, you register with your details like your BVN, you create a password or a PIN code. Having done all that, you now request for it, which your bank will now issue to you, because CBN has already issued an amount to banks.
Right.
So having issued it to banks, you now request and your bank credits your wallet, which you have downloaded, with your E-Naira. And then you are notified of the value there. The value there is the same thing as your physical money. So if you have 1,000 Naira in your e-wallet, then you have 1,000 Naira money, Naira, is the same value. So it's not that one is less or the other. And it doesn't appreciate in value beyond what Naira is today. So it is only when Naira, as we know it, appreciates in value against the dollar is when the E-Naira would appreciate. And if the Naira falls in value against the dollar or any foreign currency, the same thing will happen to the E-Naira.
Right.
So that's how it is.
So I want to ask about digital transactions. Considering that, okay, you know, I like how you said you've differentiated between them, physical Naira and E-Naira. Physical Naira is the one you can actually go to your bank and withdraw.
Yes.
But with the E-Naira, it is specifically for digital transactions.
Yes.
And that is where my next question is going to. So for someone that has a physical account, right?
Okay.
Digital transactions wise, I'm thinking things like, you know, maybe I don't have cash to pay. I want to buy something I sent via transfer, right?
Yes.
Okay, maybe I want to I want to top up credit on my phone. I use USSD. I get it on my phone. That's a
Yes.
form of digital transaction,
Yes.
right? I want to pay for something I've seen online. I pay via their websites.
Yes.
That's a form of digital
correct.
transactions. So considering that, you know, there was no E-Naira and we're able to do all of these digital transactions. Why now? You know, so for the sake of our viewers at home, why do we need another platform to make digital transactions when what we already have is working?
I must commend CBN first.
Okay.
Their response in this case is to future-proof the economy. Now,
Right.
everybody is talking about crypto,
Right.
crypto. But crypto is very volatile and unregulated. Once the money has gone, the money has gone. We know many people, I'm sure you know one or two people who have lost money in dealing with crypto and they can't get it back. But that's how it's designed. Once it's gone, it's untraceable. So CBN now and everything is going online. All businesses, all transactions are online. So what are they doing? They've decided to join the market online, just like the business rule, go where your customers are.
Yeah.
So CBN has gone to where the customers are. 70% of our population are online, which is the youth. So I'm now there with you. So what are they saying? You don't need physical cash. Yes, you've been doing your normal transactions, but you have issues of losing your money and fraudulent issues, and it's usually untraceable. But with the E-Naira, it is real Naira. Just like normally, how do you trace Naira notes with their serial numbers? These ones too are produced with a proper serial number using their blockchain technology.
Interesting.
So with that, it can be traced. You know what is going where. And they usually say the best way to fight corruption is to create a parallel system. So that the parallel system over time takes over the corrupt system. So now, also in their fight against corruption, digital Naira has come in where every transaction can be traced. You know, most transactions, once it's corruption, is cash-based. So once you have the cash, nothing, no trace. But now, if I transfer to you and wherever the money goes, I can trace it because the money has a digital footprint.
So there's some form of accountability.
Yeah, there's accountability.
Right.
So, we are running this project and we want to give 100,000 people some money in so and so. Let's have their details. We move the E-Naira there and we know where it's going from there.
Right.
So with that one, if it's not in the right source and it goes the wrong way, it can either be stopped or tracked
Right.
or called back.
Right.
So that's the essence and beauty
In
of it.
comparison to what goes on.
Yes,
with
in
crypto.
comparison, because before now, we want to give money to so and so people, you give them cash. Whatever happens at the back is not anybody's business. But now we give them E-Naira, and everything that happens at the back is everybody's business.
You can now see it's kind of transparent.
So that's
Okay.
the beauty of the E-Naira.
Okay, so talking about transparency, now let's talk about how the app really works. So I was reading up something and then I saw that there would not be any withdrawal fees and all
Yes.
of those things. How true is this?
Very true, because it already exists. We even already have apps like that in Nigeria. Now, what they do is, for example, there are some apps now that have been used to as replacement for all those international transfers we know because of their cost.
Yes.
And all of them use the same blockchain technology. And when you use blockchain technology, it allows what they call point-to-point transaction, moving money from point to point without any cost. Why? All I need to do is have the app in, where is the far place, in Japan, and then have the app here in Nigeria. And all I do is move the money from my e-wallet to this other e-wallet here in Nigeria. Transaction concluded, no fee, and instant.
Right.
Then I don't need to go to the bank to withdraw the money. I don't need to give any identification to anybody or waste time. The money is there, and it can move. And note, one of the laws of economics is that the faster money moves, the more money that money produces. So with this e-Naira, Naira will move faster, so there'll be more money available.
Right.
But let's leave that as an aside. Now, so because of that, it already exists. It's the same blockchain technology that is now guiding the e-Naira, such that all you need to do is have an e-Naira wallet anywhere in the world, and I have an e-Naira wallet here in Nigeria. So instead of, which also helps CBN, was it not last year? They said we did about $17 billion in transfers. In transfers. But now, instead of doing it in dollars, you just open an e-Naira wallet and move the cash equivalent. There's no issue about exchange rate. Oh, what's the rate now? Oh, let black market. No, it's e-Naira. I need 100,000 Naira from my wallet. I move to you in Nigeria. That's all.
Interesting. But then obviously the currency will still be traded at the rates as it is traded in the markets, right?
We don't trade Naira.
Okay.
Note that part. Yeah, we don't trade Naira.
Right. Okay.
So there will be no trading.
Yeah.
But there will be transactions.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, so there is this particular story that I want to read to you. So it says a company sues CBN for using the name E-Naira. It says a cease and desist notification has been sent to the Central Bank of Nigeria concerning the use of the name E-Naira. This is according to a document seen online. It says infringement of trademark and violation of corporate name, cease and desist notification to Central Bank of Nigeria. The notice was signed by Olakunle Agbebi Esquire for Olakunle Agbebi and Co. The development comes after the successful deployment of this central bank ENAIRA website, days away from the activation of the ENAIRA itself. How how true is this? How would this work? I know, because I mean, ENAIRA is already out there, over 10,000 downloads and whatnot.
You know, what I love about online is there is no precedent, no government. If I got the name first, I got the name first, and to hell with you.
Yeah.
If you want that name, come and let's see. If I'm interested in giving you, fine. If not, no. Now, I don't have that story, so I don't have the details, but it's possible that somebody else already had ENAIRA as a name or as a product, whatever. And because the person already had it, it's just like a typical website. If I already have yemisi.com, you cannot say because your name is Yemisi, you come and create it and I should go and jump into the river. No. I have it already, so you need my permission or agreement or whatever, as in my copyright, for you to be able to use it. So if the story is correct as it is, because we need more details, and another company already has ENAIRA, then it's something I'm sure CBN and that company will find a way around it. But the key thing is not just the name. The most important aspect of this thing is the infrastructure. Does the infrastructure exist? Is it functional? Is it working? If all that is okay, there is no big deal in the name. Okay. If they have a problem with ENAIRA, then we can change it to ENAIRA. It's just to change the name.
Actually, yeah.
And but I'm sure CBN, for who they are, would find a way around it.
So I want to talk about infrastructure really quickly. And
Yes.
to discuss infrastructure, I want to lead this from the awareness campaign surrounding ENAIRA, right? So when I'm thinking about the infrastructure of the ENAIRA, I'm thinking about how it's going to work, for instance, in the local markets. You know, how a lot of documents that were put up by the federal government is that this will help small and medium scale businesses in transaction and all of these kind of things, right? Looking at small scale businesses, which is usually run by people, for instance, that don't have a like if a high level of education, let me put it like that, right? How would ENAIRA be beneficial to their everyday business? How would the infrastructure of ENAIRA being set in the local market, how would it help them in trading?
First of all, when it comes to business, it's not about education, it's about enlightenment.
Okay.
So how enlightened are people with respect to the e-Naira and then with respect to digital currency transactions in the first place?
Okay.
Interestingly, in Nigeria now, we have a very deep penetration in terms of mobile money outlets
Okay,
and
yes.
what do you call it?
Point of sales. Yeah.
Outlets across the country, even in the most remote area you can think of. That's the platform that the CBN ENAIRA wants to ride on. So it's not about how educated you are, but how enlightened you are.
There's already a market.
There's already a market and a structure on ground. But as this first phase of the kickoff, they are not going there yet. Because as they say, put one leg down and test the market and correct your errors before you go all the way. So for now, they are starting with those that already have existing bank accounts. So, but I'm sure in the next 1, 2, 3 months, thereabout, they will start going in to all those that already have mobile money systems and POS systems. So with that one, everybody will get it. And the truth is, the farmer in the village that doesn't know anything about all this, it's not his own whether it's e-Naira or physical Naira. His own is his money. So as long as he goes to the POS merchant and the merchant gives him money, now in this case on his phone, he's fine.
But I mean, okay, but I mean, is the markets ready for that? Is the Nigerian markets ready for money they are not able to hold?
When you say ready, my question is it already existing?
There's a culture of money, though. There's a culture of, you need to give me cash, for me to believe that this transaction. There's already a culture of those kind of business in Nigeria. Wouldn't you say that?
That was then.
Okay.
Now, which day was it? Okay. Now, let me use my village.
Okay.
I'm from Edo State. My place is like 30 minutes drive from River Niger. So, when you now go further in, there is no bank.
Okay.
The closest bank is in Auchi, which is about 45 minutes drive away. Now, the average village man there will have to walk there because all they have are bicycles and motorcycles. There's only a few rich that now have the cars. And then so others take commercial transport. But what's the challenge is time of travel. They would, under normal circumstances, they would rather keep physical cash than to take that time to go and come because of also the risk factors.
Yeah.
But I traveled recently and nobody is talking about physical cash.
Interesting.
Why?
Why? We have POS merchants everywhere.
Yes.
So they're already used to it.
Okay.
And what they tell you, even if it's a location that has no POS merchant, send me call credits. I know how to convert it to cash.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's what they say. So automatically, they are all already used to it. So for some of them, it's even a thing of pride when they tell you to transfer and you do it.
Prestigious.
It's prestigious. So you can see it's that the culture already changed.
Okay.
So it's not a big deal. It's overdue what they are doing. That was why crypto really grew in the country, because the country was already overdue for such.
For digital transactions.
Yes, for digital transaction.
Yeah.
Crypto, Nigeria as an African country was one of the largest, is the largest trader in crypto. Why? This is why. I have a dry cleaner in my area. Before the CBN ban, he collects his monies in crypto. He said crypto or no business.
Interesting.
I'm serious. Even when I heard about it, I had to find out. Is it true? Is he? Well, that's his business. He said he collects his money in crypto.
Wow.
So we are already there. So this coming is like just filling the gap. As in, it's not, oh, well done, CBN. It is at last CBN.
All right, so we actually have another guest currently on the line with us.
Okay.
He's also an economic analyst. His name is Dr. Ifeoluwa Ogunriola. He'll be joining us to help us understand the ENAIRA a lot more. All right,
Okay.
Dr. Ife, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. And you?
Oh, fine. Thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
All right, the conversation is on understanding ENAIRA, and we've already started
Yeah.
the conversation with our guest. He's also here with us. Ayo Emakiome, he is also an economic analyst, and we'll be having this conversation together.
Yeah.
Now, so we've already started the conversation on ENAIRA, but let's hear what you have to say about it. I want to ask you the question on awareness. We
Okay.
think that the awareness is really low. A lot of people didn't know so much about the ENAIRA. In fact, there is more questions than answers on ENAIRA. What do you think?
Okay, thank you very much. I think when it comes to the launching of the ENAIRA in Nigeria, the government has not done proper job in sensitizing the public about what the ENAIRA is all about and the necessity of the onboarding of this new platform now. Let's take a cue from what happened in Iran some years ago. Iran needed to remove its fuel subsidies because there was a lot of government expenses on subsidies, and that was crippling the economy. Now, removing the subsidy on fuel was an unpopular opinion by the general public. But what the government had to do was to go through a phased intervention. And what do I mean by a phased intervention? First of all, the government went into a massive advertisement and sensitization down to the grassroots about what subsidy is all about, what the subsidy program was currently doing, and why the government needed to remove subsidies in order to salvage their already crumbling economy. Now, there was widespread sensitization. There was a lot of communication between government and other private sector individuals in order to let everyone understand what the government is about to do, so that no one is in question about government's action. When the sensitization period was over, what government did was to go into a phased removal of subsidy. That is, per a particular time period, they remove a percentage in subsidies, and then they also had sufficient social intervention programs to mitigate the effect of the subsidy removal to those who will be most harmfully affected. Now, that happened over a period of time until there was a balance and subsidy was totally removed. Iranians did not feel much of the effect of that subsidy removal. Why did that happen? There was timely communication from the government to the grassroots over a sufficient period of time, and there was a phased policy intervention. Nigerians need similitude of that. The government needs to have invested enough time, even if it's going to take up to a year, to inform all and sundry about the ENAIRA, the necessity of the ENAIRA, and the advantage the ENAIRA has over the current financial program. So many Nigerians are not aware of what the ENAIRA is all about. Many are even questioning what is the need of the ENAIRA now when the fiat monetary management is still not in check. So I think the government has not done properly in terms of sensitizing the public, and I think there is a lot to do in order to achieve one of the main aims of introducing this ENAIRA program, which is financial inclusion. Thank you.
All right, so now my next question is to you, Sir Ayo Emakiome. So, considering what Dr. Isfe has said, considering the awareness, now you've said there is already a structure on ground. A lot of people are already, using digital transactions, POS, point of sales, and all of this. Is it because, Nigerians, in the local markets are already using this system? Is that maybe why the government thought maybe we don't need to raise too much awareness? Maybe they'll get used to it, quickly because they are already. Is that maybe why,
Well, it looks like, but from my own opinion, no.
Okay.
Government's role is to enlighten and educate for everything and anything they do. And in this case, they are failing in that part. They need to enlighten everyone and educate everyone, especially because of the issue of financial fraud. or what do you call it, scammers. Because I don't know much about what ENAIRA is. Then somebody comes up and says, oh, I'm going to give you ENAIRA and just credit this account and do that, and your money gets missing. So it's government's role and function and responsibility and duty to ensure that by the time ENAIRA is rolling out, everybody is aware and comfortable of what it is and how it's done and what it can be used for, and their rights and responsibilities with respect to it.
Yeah.
So government truly, like Dr. Ife said, is lacking seriously in that part.
Okay. All right.
Dr. Ife, I want to ask you this. For when ENAIRA was launched, after 48 hours, it was taken down from the Google store. What happened?
Well, when the ENAIRA was launched, it appeared that a lot of people rushed in with a high expectations that the ENAIRA app was going to work perfectly, and that the new disruptive technology introduced in Nigeria, being the first country to adopt that in Africa, and one of the fewest countries in the world. So there was a lot of expectation, and a lot of people, of course, informed individuals dashed into it. But when people began to experience technological challenges, network issues, registration delays, and all that, there were lots of, thumbs down against the app. And so, because of the low rating, I believe the management of Google and other holders of the digital platform had to take it down, because it was poorly rated, and it didn't seem as if any improvement will be experienced anytime soon. So I think taking it out in the meantime was the proper way to go. Meanwhile, I believe the digital handlers of the app would look into it again and resume with a better interface.
All right. So now I want to ask on, taking that into consideration, Ayo, I want to ask that, considering that technology is a thing of privilege, for instance, radio, the last research that was carried out on the use of media, radio is apparently the biggest medium in Nigeria, all right?
Yes.
Social media, and the analysis to that is that social media is not the biggest, because of, obviously, social media is a privileged form of media that requires, for instance, buying of data and a phone that enables a person to access social media. So now my next question is, the access to this particular digital currency. All right, small scale business. You said they've not rolled out plans for small scale businesses widely yet, but given that, access to technology is a form of privilege, how do local markets actually benefit from something like like an e-wallet or a smart wallet, considering that they may not have phones that enable them to do this?
Wow, you said a lot, and let me bring it together.
Okay.
First of all, social media is no more a privilege, it's a fundamental right.
Okay.
Everybody, that's why even Facebook is going as far, no, not even Facebook anymore, Tesla is now going to space to give the whole world social media access. Yes, so it's a fundamental right.
But access to social media is still privileged.
In Nigeria.
Okay. Okay.
But by standards, it is now what everybody should have access to, because that's the age we are in right now.
Yeah.
That's number one. Then number two, what was it now? E-Naira is money, real money. So like I said, even though the enlightenment is not there yet, the people at the grassroots are already used to digital forms of transactions, either using their e-wallets already or using their USSD.
Okay.
USSD is still a form of digital banking and digital transactions, which is common in the places where access to social media does not exist. So for those places, the e-Naira, I expect, would have the capacity, because it's a digital form of transaction, to be transacted using the USSD.
Okay.
So which was why I said, even though it is a responsibility and a duty of government to enlighten all the way down to the grassroots, government has not done that.
Right.
But those at the grassroots are already used to this kind of transaction model. So with that, the ENAIRA can be used using USSD. So it will just be carrying out transactions. It's only when it gets to the point where they need to cash the money, there will now be that challenge. Why can't I cash my money? Where enlightenment will now be needed very much. But as long as the man on the streets, in the farm, in the village, can have cash on his phone or on his ATM card, what's his own, whether it's ENAIRA or whatever, his own is that his money.
Yeah.
You get? So transactions will still run.
Yeah.
And business will still go on.
Yeah.
But we should never forget the part that it is a major responsibility of government to still go ahead, even though, thanks to you guys, you are doing this. But they still need to reach out.
Yeah. Now, the reason I ask that question is because, the role of USSD has not been clearly stated when it comes, to the e-wallet
ENAIRA.
and to ENAIRA, right?
Yes.
So I think it's become interesting if they avoid USSD, how the local markets will adapt to it, because I completely agree with you. USSD would make a lot of sense, for the local markets to engage with the digital transaction.
ENAIRA is digital currency. What are the ways you can transact with digital currency? One of them is USSD.
Yeah.
So because of that, yes, our government does a lot of assumption and expectations.
Yeah.
But because of that, now on the digital platform, as long as it's a digital currency, and USSD is one of the means of doing business with digital currency, then automatically ENAIRA should be able to be traded using ESSD. Sorry, transacted using USSD.
Okay, Dr. Ife? All right, so let's talk about sustainability. This initiative, do you think that it will be sustainable in this country?
For now, we see that the ENAIRA is premised to work concurrently with the Naira, your fiat currency. And we see that, yes, and we see that the currency that is the ENAIRA is pegged against the Naira, which means we expect that we have 1 Naira, it equals 1 ENAIRA. But let's look at it at launch. 500 billion ENAIRA was mined by the Central Bank of Nigeria, which means as at that time, that is the amount of ENAIRA that is taken into circulation. But the problem is this. In addition to the technological challenges as identified by my colleague with you in the studio, there are other challenges that we may begin to look at that might cause some sustainability concerns. Don't forget that the paper Naira or fiat currency held by the banks is still a system that is running concurrently with the ENAIRA program.
Exactly.
Now, what happens when there is an oversubscription to the ENAIRA program? That means that there is going to be a disintermediation problem at the banks, because the banks will have fewer Naira sitting in their accounts in place of ENAIRA sitting in individual wallets. And that would cause a liquidity management challenge. When there is a liquidity management challenge at the level of deposit money banks, then there will be challenges with credit access. Already the major source and funder to the real sector is still our paper Naira sitting at the banks. So when there is a challenge with in financial intermediation and credit access, then there will be a problem with the proper calibration of or between the ENAIRA and the paper Naira. There will be a challenge. The bankers, that is the deposit money banks, will cry to the CBN, how can you help us? Yes, the CBN has already said that this may be mitigated by the tier system, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 system, and the corresponding limits, transaction limits. But what will happen when there is an eventual oversubscription? Then that brings a challenge to the banks. That's on one part. On the other part, in addition to what my colleague at your studio have said, when there are technological challenges, then that brings a lot of questions to sustainability. When people cannot access the internet, when poor people cannot afford smartphones, when those who can use the USSD channel are having consistent and frequent network challenges and glitches, then what do you do? So that is the major problem, because like I published with the Business Day recently, I think that the ENAIRA is a welcome development but poorly timed, because the ancillary architecture that should carry this system sufficiently was not properly prepared. Okay, we're talking about power challenges, we're talking about data issues, we're talking about accessibility, especially by those who cannot afford data. The quantity of, the number of Nigerians that can sufficiently afford data in Nigeria are not so many. The number of Nigerians that can afford a smartphone are not so many. The number of those that are literate enough to transact digital payments system using the USSD are not many. Let's assume that these individuals are as many as should. What happens to the providers of the technology that should ensure the smooth transaction of all this? Your MTN subscribers, your Glo, and all that, network providers.
Dr. Ife, let's try as much as possible. Dr. Ife, can you hear me?
I'm with you, please.
Yes, please. Let's try as much as possible not to call brands.
Oh, okay. Thank you
yes,
very
please.
much.
Thank you.
No problem.
I apologize for that.
No problem. Let's go.
So, when there are challenges with network and other infrastructure that should support easy transaction, then there will be sustainability challenges. So I think that's it. And you can also see that from the get-go when people are having just first contact challenges with registration and with trying to, meander their way around the newly launched app, and the app has taken away temporarily. So we can see that that may be a precursor to what we might see in the future. So I think that we need to get the basics right before a full launch. That's my own opinion. Thank you.
Do you hold the same opinion, sir, on the system's sustainability?
Now, in the short to long run, I believe that the system is sustainable. Because if it was not sustainable, that means we will not have Naira in Nigeria today.
Interesting.
It's Naira, it's money. It's just that now it's a digital form, and there is no perfect system, especially at first launch. In fact, if what you launched at the first time is perfect, then that means it's outdated already. Do you understand? So there would always be challenges. The issue is, do we have what it takes to overcome these challenges? Then for this product, does the future look bright for it? Yes, it does. So are there more opportunities than we can even imagine now for this ENAIRA? Yes, there is so much beyond what we can even think of. So there is sustainability. The issue now is, does the creators, because it's not just a CBN thing now, of this thing, have the will, or do they have the mind of ensuring it lasts beyond them? That's the question we should be asking, not if this thing is sustainable. Is this just a facade of creating a distraction to something else, or a diversion to something, or is about achieving something that once we get there, it's gone? If it's not, if ENAIRA has come to stay and the creators have the mind that this, for me, because that's how I see it, is a replacement to the fiat money over time, then it is going to stay for a long time, and it has come to stay. Why? If there was no oversubscription in the first place, like he said, then we will not be having inflation that we have today. Because what is causing inflation is that there's excess demand on the cash, but it's not available. So it's already in existence. So just as it is for our fiat money, it's the same thing that will now happen to the digital currency. And money, what creates value is demand. So if there is a lot of demand for our Naira, the value will go up, inflation will come down. And with that one, it is good for us.
Right.
And CBN can always mint more currency. Instead of using it, instead of minting more fiat money, they can mint more digital currency as a replacement to the fiat money. And so there's still more currency available. So yes, excess demand would occur. But is it new? No. Are there solutions? Yes. So for me, sustainability, I agree, is sustainable. But like he said, the infrastructure now has to be improved on.
Right.
But for the first time, there would always be challenges. There would always be.
I have a question for you. So while we were taking comments this morning,
Yes.
we were asking what people think on this particular ENAIRA, and there's somebody was saying something about the current fiat money that we have now. That would it be phased out at some point, like totally? Are we fully going to achieve cashless policy now that we have ENAIRA?
Already now, Nigeria is 100% cashless based on the CBN policy, the whole country. So we are running a cashless system. But in reality, the cash has moved from the bank to the ATM points. So that's why in the bank, it seems that there is no cash transactions, but at the ATM points, there are heavy cash transactions.
Exactly.
But with the fiat, with the ENAIRA, that is expected to reduce. But that will it fully replace physical cash? No. Why?
Okay.
Because of human nature. A time would always come where you need physical cash in your pocket because of the small transactions and the fact that you want to feel that you have money. You get?
Okay.
So there would always be physical cash, but will it reduce the volume of physical cash? Yes, it will greatly reduce the volume of physical cash. One of the beautiful things about the ENAIRA, my own personal assessment is this. Presently we have about 3 trillion naira in circulation. 70% of that, as in physical cash now, not just money in the bank.
Yeah.
But based on statistics a little while ago, 70% of that is not in the banks. So with this ENAIRA now, the money over time would slowly move back into circulation, into the banking system or into the money system that is now digitized. Why? Just like we are talking about those in the village and those in the grassroots, as long as we are bringing more of them into the system through the ENAIRA, they would bring their money into the system.
Right.
And with that cash that is not yet in the banking system will come back. So even though there's pressure, those are cash that will make up for that pressure and demand for such monies.
Okay. All right.
All right. I mean, this has been a lot. So,
This is very
in all of
educative.
this conversation, in this conversation that we've had this morning, I see that a lot of awareness has to be done,
Exactly.
especially for people. We've talked about the grassroots a
Yes.
lot, and a lot of conversation still needs to be had on this ENAIRA. Is there going to be a plan on upgrading it at some point? Because people also complain of the user experience. There was a lot of back and forth with it. I'm guessing, as Dr. Ife had said, that was why it got thumbs down and maybe why Google brought it down. Will there be some form of upgrade? Would it be better, especially for people that are tech savvy?
Already there's an upgrade. That is why it was brought back. The issue was with registration of the on the app. They do what you call email verification, where having registered, they send you an email and then you confirm from your email, which is when your app becomes active. A lot of Nigerians have like 10, 20, 30 email addresses that, once they forget one password, instead of recovering or retrieving a new password, they just open a new one and open a new one. So a lot of people, the email addresses they gave were not being verified, and that was a red flag for Google, which was why they brought it down to have that issue corrected, which has been done, which was why they brought it back. Now that it has been brought back, that's already an upgrade. So scenarios like this would always come up, which would lead to upgrades and more upgrades and more upgrades. It's normal with the tech system. That's where I'm going to. Because it is such glitches or envisaged glitches that leads to upgrades. So we are in the tech system. There is nothing unusual so far.
Okay.
It is just like you said, we need the government to now do more enlightenment. As long as they keep to it and as long as they decide to come up with an enlightenment, a robust enlightenment system, more people would understand all these things we are seeing and would embrace it. But yes, would there be glitches? It's a technology system. There would always be glitches, especially because of the human factor.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, Dr. Efe, my next question is actually to you. Now, considering, all the comments we've just made about, the role of technology in these transactions and etc., looking at e-commerce in Nigeria, looking at the roles of fintech companies, in Nigeria, what role do they have to play, in the introduction of this new digital currency, or what role can they play, in the introduction of the ENAIRA?
Okay, thank you very much. We see that the Central Bank of Nigeria has the option or opinion of licensing central financial institutions and other tech companies in helping to carry this program. Now, tech companies are very much involved in ensuring the proper propagation of technologies of this form or this sort, to bringing it down to end users. Now, as we see in during the time when cryptocurrency was highly subscribed to in Nigeria, we see that we began to see a lot of technological companies coming up in the business of cryptocurrencies. And we understand that with these businesses coming up, the access to cryptocurrency transactions and cryptocurrency accounts doubled or quadrupled in a short space of time.
All right.
That means that these fintechs are very, very crucial in helping to propagate technologies that are needed to reach end users. When these technology firms are available, then it's easy. They even help government to achieve the aim of access. So when we have a lot of them in their multiples, then it's relatively easy to access the range of services that these technological products have or carry, so that end users can easily reach them, and then the transaction thereof can help to propel the course of growth for the country. So these tech guys or tech outfits are very, very important, but they also need the government in order for them to be able to operate seamlessly in this macro space. When government is able to make the macroeconomy tolerable for their operations, when the cost of doing business is relatively low, such that these tech firms can, function properly, and such that other would-be tech firms can flow in, okay, then it would be very, very easy for us to have more of them in the country operating and helping to also make government objective realizable. You see what happened with one of the tech. You see what happened with one of the tech. One period when we had challenges between the government and a particular tech holder.
Yeah.
And when that happened, we see an outflow of other investment that would have hitherto stayed or entered the country. And we also saw other tech firms establishing in neighboring countries whose capacity to host investment are not as strong as Nigeria's. So we see that there is a role of government in ensuring that these firms are able to come in and also grow or blossom, because their presence in Nigeria helps to achieve government's aim, and also helps to disseminate the range of technological services to the end users for seamless use. So I believe that these tech firms are very important, but there's also a bilateral role between these tech firms and the government to ensure smooth running and management of technologically related services and products.
Dr. Efe, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We have learned a lot from this conversation. Do have yourself a lovely day.
And you too. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Aya, thank you so much for joining us this morning. This has been a very nice one.
Very educative as well.
And insightful. Now we know what we're supposed to do as individuals when it has to do with E-Naira.
Yes.
And all you have to do is go and download, and then you can move from there. But before you go, this awareness conversation, how else can, individuals, well, apart from the government, of course, we see what is happening now. How else can individuals help in spreading this word faster?
the truth is, responsibility, as citizens of the country now, we own the Naira. So responsibility is on each and every one of us. Like, hopefully before end of day today, I'll be putting it up in my blog, information about the E-Naira, how you can get it, and all these other details. So it is now, the onus is on each and every one of us that the more you get information, the more you spread it, you pass it on. And as they say, what goes around comes around. One of my challenges with this, with the country is, yes, I'm not exonerating them. They have a problem 100%. But you see, to make a system correct, you don't sit down and blame. You do your part, because it takes one to make one. And so the government is never exonerated and will never be. But onus now is on us for small responsibilities like this to do the little we can. For example, spread the awareness about the E-Naira and the processes around it. And then also, before you even spread the awareness, so you don't spread the wrong information, enlighten yourself properly first, and then spread it like that. Why? If everybody has this information without the government, over time, we will get to a point where we really do not need the government. And when the government realizes the citizens do not really need them, they will get responsible. But right now, they feel they are doing you a favor.
Interesting.
And so you also you have moved the power to them, and that's wrong for democracy. The correct democracy is the power should be with you. So we should stop blaming the government and start solving our challenges. Because when the government realizes that the people that voted you in do not need you, it means that by next election, you don't have anything to sell to them. So they will get responsible. So that by that time, both of you have something you are already doing together.
Some form of transaction.
Yes, but you know, everywhere I go, that's all I hear. Government. Why?
Yeah, we need to do our own part.
Yes, let's do our part.
Yeah.
And our part is, let us solve our little challenges and little issues, just like this of, we are saying government has not enlightened. Yes, government has, the little you know, what have you done with it?
Exactly.
What have you done with it? The power is in your hands.
Yeah.
That's just it.
All
Thank
right.
you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Thank you.
For joining us this morning. We've learned a lot from this conversation on understanding the E-Naira. Was it JFK that said, you know, something about it's not about what the government can do, but what you can do for
your
you know,
government.
for
Yeah, for your
yourselves and
country.
that. Okay, all right. It's all about what we can do, and about the E-Naira. Let's see what we can do to make this one move. We have more to come on Tea or Coffee. Don't go anywhere.